Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Attire, and it's such a pleasure to have you here once again. And this is the Good Morning Education Show. We are here, we are live. This is the seventh day of January 2022, and I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you for joining. Good morning, Faithful Falodun. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Happy what weekend in our in our bands or well maybe it's here already upon us. It's good to be here again this morning. Good morning to the entire tribe.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Um, of course, we had a great time yesterday. We're only going to be streaming to YouTube today, and we're excited that yesterday's feedback from yesterday has been pouring in, and we hope that a lot of people will get the opportunity to take out some time to watch the routine and get more insight from the show, right? Um, as we start today's show, I just want to ask you, what would you say would be your major take home point or highlights from yesterday's show?
My highlights from yesterday's show will be that we were able to uh, we were able uh, of education. The business of education belongs to all practitioners in that sector. It's not that we can close our eyes to say, look, this is the only part of it that I'm interested in. If we don't work on it from foundation up, then even if we feel like, oh, this is not my business, at some point or the other, it comes around to affect us. Interestingly, yesterday afternoon, I an article was sent to me. I should have sent this before this morning's show, where it talked about all of the systems that were involved or that are involved in the life of every individual student in the US. And it's not just reading it and seeing the breakdown like that was so enlightening and eye-opening. And I said, wow, this is exactly what we're talking about. That it is the district's call is for all of us to obey. The district's call is places a demand on every one of us to be at our duty post, to be minding each other's businesses as much as we are minding our business. So that for me was the highlight of yesterday.
Makes super sense, super sense. And today we are having another interesting conversation, and we're talking about mining mining darkness. I'm sure you saw the flyer and the topic. Let me ask you, what came to your mind? Mining darkness.
So first of all, I'm like, this is one of those very interesting topics on the Good Morning Education show. Um, you think it's going one way, and it's probably going in the opposite direction. So I'm not too sure that I know what this direction is, but for my interpretation of mining the darkness is like making the best of a bad situation or of a situation that is supposedly bad, a situation that we feel or that is felt to be maybe uh, a disadvantage. So in a way, it's a darkness. In a way, it's a dead end. In a way, it looks like, oh, this is something that works against me, or this is something that works against us. But then we can take it, look at it, and look at darkness in itself as a as not as an independent variable. It doesn't work or stand alone by itself. There are things that the darkness can be employed to work for. So if we say, oh, it's dark here, what can we do in that darkness? Can we have maybe like a candle party? Can we have a torch party where everybody just, maybe even if it's not a torch, put on the light on their phones, and we're able to have um, a forum or a party or something. So for me, mining the darkness is the seeing the possibilities in those so-called impossibilities and making a way through those areas that look like they're dead ends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You pretty much, got out the introduction, because really, um, the topic is all about possibilities, and we must demonstrate with all the things that we hear and all the things that we keep on learning. We must demonstrate our ability and some measure of appetite to, push forward and drive towards making things happen. I think that it's going to be a very sad situation where all that we can boast of is acquisition of knowledge, pursuing, getting to know more at the expense of execution. Sometimes that's why a lot of simple things, just like you said, using that illustration of darkness, then you have a touch party or a candlelight party and all that. You know, those little things, as little as they are, they connote something that someone is actually practicing number one, consciousness, creativity, and progress in the same situation. But a lot of people have a strange view about solutions, about development, because they've not been able to understand that whatever let me not say precarious situation, but whatever situation we find ourselves, and it somehow looks like most of the things we could articulate and write out are negatives, or so to speak, placing us in the dark. I think that it's important for us to get to that point where a second look at things begins to cause us to mind, getting us to mind the darkness. And it's, if you ever have gone through the process of getting gold, you will see that process. What we normally see, that precious shiny metal, actually goes through a lot of mining, a lot of refining. And that thing goes from one form to the other before we get it to a desired level. And this is why I think that we need to get to be not just, I think we've, let me ask you, um, how can we get more familiar, if that's the word, with darkness in this context?
Please take that again. I didn't get the question.
How can we become more familiar with darkness? Because for us to mind something, we can't be far from it.
Okay, so that question feels like we want to challenge everything that we believe or that people believe. We don't generally take darkness as positive.
Mm.
We take it as something negative, and so nobody wants to get comfortable with darkness. I'm sure if you took this question outside and took an opinion poll and asked people how they want to be comfortable with darkness, you're likely going to hear things like, God forbid, I'm not going to be comfortable with darkness. I'm not going to be in darkness. Like, you would hear things like, oh, back to sender and stuff like that. But we need to understand the concept that without darkness, it's impossible for light to shine. So if we don't see that, if we don't see the contrast, if we don't see and take advantage of the contrast of the background that darkness creates, to say, look, we can contrast this against this background. We may not be able to appreciate light if we don't experience darkness. We will not. It feels to us like, oh, um, it's normal for lights to be on all the time. We may not be able to appreciate times and seasons without the darkness. So nature naturally signals to us that at this point, stop and rest. At this point, stop and recalibrate. Get ready for the next phase, for the next season, for the next day, for the next day. So we need to first of all embrace and appreciate the concept of darkness, what it stands for, what it signifies, and understand that it is not what Nollywood tells us. It is not our idea that, oh, it's in the dark. Yorubas have a number of proverbs that that point and depict darkness as something really bad, and they would even warn you of it. But we need to begin to look at that concept again and say, look, what if if I embrace the darkness around me, then um, I have a better opportunity to stand out, because in that darkness I can create my own spotlight and stand out in my spotlight. So that helps me to embrace the darkness. That helps me to say, look, in the darkness, I can be a solution finder. I can be a solution provider. I can be the one who is taking that darkness, is mining it and turning it around to be to be something positive, to be something productive, to be something profitable. So we need to understand that, first of all, darkness is not always negative. We need to understand that darkness has its advantages. And then when we make peace with the fact that darkness does not connote or 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 depicts who we are, or maybe determines our personality. When we don't take darkness personally and feel like, oh, it's an attack on us as people or as individuals, then we'll be able to pick out these we'll be able to pick out the advantages of darkness in darkness, and then be able to make it work for us and live with it positively.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, on that note, I think that it's important for us to begin to see light as even in darkness, as in it's the fullness of expression of light that causes darkness to fade away. So light is really not created, or how do I put it? No, darkness is not created. It's actually the absence of light. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So um how do we get to that point where you know um we're able to get people, especially educators now, we're able to get them to understand that the first step is not running away from the things we don't like, but the first step is picking an aspect of the things we don't like and trying to start a process of conversion for it. How do we get to do that?
I believe that it's in the education sector, in the education district, that we first of all should embrace the the difference, or embrace what we would require. Oh, sorry, what we would term um, unconventional,
Yeah.
because education that is that system that helps us to open our mind, that helps us to task our reasoning, that helps us to ask questions. And in asking questions, we're finding answers that are, uh, we're finding novel answers, we're finding workable answers, we're finding reasons, we're not just mindlessly doing things. So, if that is what we're supposed to stand for, then educators should be the first to embrace the darkness. Educators should be the first to make a case for the darkness, to say, look, we're taking this concept of darkness and we're making it work for us. We're taking this concept of darkness, we are entrenching ourselves into it, and showing the beauty. in darkness and showing uh, the goodness in darkness and showing the profits that are in it. So it's essential for educators, and this is why maybe this year we should be doing a lot of advocacy for why, for the why of the educator. What's your why? If your why is not doesn't propagate the the course of education, then there's a need to either find your way out or recalibrate, so that when we come across concepts like this that on the surface look like it's a disadvantage or on the surface look like it's a misnomer, then we're able to take it, turn it around, and let it work for us. We're able to take it, turn it around, and make it a teaching moment, make it a development moment, not just for us, but also for the children that we come across. So it's very essential for educators to take this concept of darkness, to look at it in a different way, to see it as an opportunity, to take it as a canvas, and then project on it, let the results. It's almost like we're experimenting together. We may not be able to predict what the results would be. We may not be able to predict what the end would be. But then, what is education if it's not experimenting, if it's not finding out, if it's not research, if it's not asking questions, if it's not trying and failing? What then is education? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as we're speaking, Kwachom joined us. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
What's happening? Let's mind your voice.
Can you hear me?
It can be louder.
Hello, can you hear me now? I don't know if it's
Well,
network.
we can manage
Hello.
that, but it's not too loud enough.
Okay, let me increase
Okay,
the
so
audio.
welcome to the show. We're talking about mining darkness, right? Um,
Okay,
uh, we're talking about mining darkness, and
okay,
one of the things that we've been able to see, and he has really captured it, that number one is there has to be a change in perception of, because averagely anyone that sees the word darkness will be wondering, are we advocating evil? Um, the perception of darkness has to even change from most people. I don't know if you could
okay.
hear me.
I can hear you,
Yes. So, and he
but
also
can you hear
mentioned
me?
that yes, we can hear you. So he also mentioned
Okay,
that darkness is something like you could consider from a perspective as the things that are not they are not in place. Things are not palatable, but it's our job, it's our duty to use that in a creative way to our advantage. Or else, what will happen is that as much as we are able to label, oh, there are these problems here, that this, which these things connote darkness of some sort, it now limits us from feeling like we're empowered. A lot of people say, oh, there's nothing that can be done. I would have done this if things were fine, if things were fine. But it also calls us to turn on our inner light or inner being, to begin to look at what can be done in spite of what is available, almost like challenging yourself to say, can I do more with less? That's what we've been talking about, and I'm excited that you're joining us. And I'd like to ask you this question, though. And the question I would like to ask you is this: what should be our greatest motivation, in mining darkness?
okay. This is very interesting, especially how the topic has is coming from a total different angle, but I get where you're coming from. So, from my perspective, what should be our what did you say again? Please come again, because I was trying to gather my thoughts. Your question, please.
Our greatest motivation.
Okay, our greatest motivation. I believe our greatest motivation should be telling ourselves you have no limitation to do what you can do. as you said, a lot of people put themselves in that limitation. As I said, I'm coming from my perspective. Like, as you said, okay, this is the problem. Oh, if only if government had done this for us, if only the education system was this way, if only business ethics were done properly, probably I would have been able to get this, or this problem we have solved. I would actually like to say, let's have a mindset of no limitation. I think our greatest motivation to be able to tell ourselves, like, you can do it, irrespective of the circumstances around you or what you have. And actually, you can achieve a lot more with less. You don't have to do it big. You don't have to do that thing that you want to go ahead with, or whatever you, but from the little you can make a change. I don't know if I'm making sense from your question. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so for me, I would say one of our greatest, like, motivation would be telling yourself, like, okay, I am moving. No, no, no. Like, okay, I saw your post how you talked about no limits and all on Instagram, and I'm like, yes, this is it, because it kind of motivates you that you can do it. You're not, you've decided to tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to restrict myself because this is it. You can start a business off with whatever capital you have. You can even start a business off without any capital. You can do it, or whatever, or the sector you find yourself in, you can make that change on that mindset. A lot of things, as I keep saying, how to do it mindset. So yes, I believe one of our greatest motivation should be telling ourselves, like, I'm not going to allow myself to be limited to this problem, or allow myself to be limited. Funny enough, when you start thinking like that, answers come. Answers do come. I don't know. They come. They come into you, and you're able to see through that that where you are, to see through where you want to get to, and before you know it, you now realize that, okay, this darkness I was placed on is not even darkness. Actually, it was light that was showing up on my path. So I believe we should just carry a mindset of, like, okay, I am not going to limit myself. I'm going to like push ahead. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to, go ahead to see what I can get and what I can do, and do that thing that I want to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'd like to appreciate the math educator for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Fee, do you have anything to add to that? What should be our greatest motivation to mining darkness?
Yes, I would say that for me, our greatest motivation should be the desire for change. Our greatest motivation should be the desire for to see things happen, to see uh, for us to move beyond the norm, for us to move beyond. This is how it's always been. Thank you. And our motivation should be looking at things different, taking a step back, taking a second look, taking a second look, and saying, yes, it doesn't always have to be a straight line. It could be a curve, and we will still we will still achieve something really big. Something, it doesn't have to be the same results, but we can still achieve something outstanding and something great. So for me, the motivation should be change, because if we're not motivated to change things, if we're not motivated to turn things around in within our sphere, if we're not in that space where we are challenging the status quo or challenging the norm, uh, then we're not likely going to challenge the darkness. We're not likely going to mind, because we'll just sit in it. We'll be comfortable in it and continue as it was. So for me, it should be change and the desire to know more. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to add to that that our desire, to know more, it's really should be fueled and powered by the fact that our motivation, is that, look, our growth lies in our ability to make the most of whatever we have. And if it's darkness that is confronting us, or whatever darkness actually symbolizes, right? Our goal is to be able to, get the best out of it, because that's where growth lies. Think about, once you think about the kind of innovation we have today, and the successes of the best of bright minds that have helped the world, to come up with things like the light bulb and the lights, you'll find out that all these people, you know, they had to mind the darkness confronting their world back then, and after being able to mind that darkness, now we're celebrating their innovation, their inventions, and the beauty of the things you know they've been able to come to create. So I think that people must realize that our growth, our progress, the kind of progress they're looking for, should excite them when they begin um, to mind darkness. And that will take us to another aspect of this, right? I think that there's this culture of, it's not today it started, let it be, this feeling of let sleeping dogs lie. Um, it's a concept that sometimes, while as true as it could be, I think it gets to be is it exaggerated, or we've overhyped that consciousness, and it's causing us to be so numb to things that we can do something around. Let me ask you, what's your take on that?
I think there are times we need to wake sleeping dogs because they might just have slept for too long. They might be sleeping out of laziness. They might be sleeping out of boredom. They might be sleeping because they're not motivated. So it's not all the time that sleeping dogs are sleeping because they're tired or they need to take a rest. But there are times we need to nudge them awake. There are times we need to get them up, get them on their feet, and get them up and running. For example, in education, we can't allow sleeping dogs lie. We can't leave sleeping dogs to lie because over time we have seen that when we leave sleeping dogs to lie for too long, they eventually wake up and back, and don't just back and bite us all, and then it becomes a big issue for all of us. So it's important for us to see. It's important for us to not leave them alone to just sleep. It's important for us to also wake them up, and see what's the reason for the long sleep that they have been sleeping. And then we're not just waking them up, we're asking, when the sleeping dogs wake, what do we want them to do? So as we wake the dogs, or before we wake the dogs, we need to have lined up what we require of them to do. We need to have required to have in place the the duties that they need to carry out. We need to have in place there has to be something for them to do. If not, if you just wake them up just to stop their sleep and they're out of it and there's really nothing for them to do, they'll go back to sleep. So it's essential for us to not allow sleeping dogs lie for too long. In some areas, maybe, but generally, we should wake the sleeping dogs and then we should hand something over to them to execute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's try to also flip the conversation. I want us to make a bit of specific domain and areas and begin to look at it. I think we should ask ourselves, what are the things? Maybe I'll ask you, Pacham, what are examples or specific areas that you would love people to begin to mine, and it's like an area of darkness? And if possible, you could also talk about what you are looking to mine, extract, and nest from the darkness around.
Okay. What I would love people to look at mine is to know that okay, let me get on my thoughts. Okay, it's like they should realize that things happen differently for different people. Um, Fee said it most of it all. When you allow sleeping dogs lie for too long, it's going to bite you. Now, you could look at it from different perspectives. Now, for me in the business world, and you, how would I say it? A lot of times we try to copy other people's successes and forget to create our own footprint that gives us that different value, that creates that unique niche in us, that makes us that beautiful brand as you. You know, for me, I would love to say one thing if we can learn, especially in this thing, is learning to, how would I say that? Learning to appreciate you. You know, I saw something recently, and the person, I can't remember who, but the person said, you can't separate you from your profession or from your business. It's actually hard, which is true. Which is true. I used to be on that, like, oh no, my business is different. Me, I'm different. And I realized that the way I create my business is my values. It's what I believe in. Truly, if somebody believes in Yahoo, they will do it that way. That I don't, you get where I'm coming from. If somebody believes in being corrupt, they will do it that way. That's the truth. So when I realized that, okay, me separating and sir, you even if you two, sorry to me, like, so when I now decide to put myself as a brand and create my values and realize, yes, it created that unique niche in my business. It created that difference. And I think that's another darkness that people are in. We just want to copy a very successful person. And then, they created their footprint. That's how you discover yourself. So for me, I'll say another thing is that self discovery. So you said we should be specific, like self discovery. A lot of times we want to do things. You can copy. Oh, let me know. It is okay to copy, but you can tweak it. You can tweak it, like add some other different things just to make it different, just to what will suit you and all. Because if you keep copying and like me, I've been saying this thing, this Yahoo business. If you notice, there's different stages. Or there's the small boys, there's the big boys, and as in there are different. And that's because I see, to me, I think they put their personalities in it. That's why some of them went far. Not, I'm not saying that, but that's why some of them went far. So for me, it's like when you put yourself and your brand and you add different things, like you create that uniqueness in your business, you make yourself different, you create an experience that that is lovely, instead of just copy, oh, this is how this person went, this is how this person went. What makes you think that if I go this way, it's going to be different? Try it. You never know. So just try and create your food. As I said, there's nothing wrong learning from from people who are way successful from us. But at the same time, you can twerk it. You can, adjust or do what you want it to be. So for me, that's what I would do. But let's try and make some form of different. Put ourselves and values that are very very important and are beneficial, and that will work for our businesses, even in our lives. I hope I said something.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Hmm.
And I'll just use one word from all the things you've been saying. And the fact is that you talked about levels. And the truth about it is in mining darkness, the truth about mining is a major element that speaks about exploration. It means that we are not just trying to get things done. We are also discovering more about ourselves, discovering more about our world. So we are getting things done, we are discovering more, we are developing more, we are achieving more. And so, really, darkness is not something to throw away. I believe that we sometimes say some statements, but we don't pay attention to the interpretation or the meaning of such statement. We hear people say things like, nothing happens by chance, or better still, nothing happens by accident, or there is success in everything, or there is meaning in everything. So why would we now see darkness and then run away from it? Let me make you laugh, for example. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay.
So when we made this post out, and then we shared it, some people refused to accept the post in their groups. And one of the thoughts would be why? Maybe the word darkness, because when you say darkness, you're talking about maybe the kingdom of darkness. So you're talking about demons and witches and witchcraft. And I feel that it's also showing how limited sometimes we could be, how trapped we've been. If we can sit down and see a movie where people are being killed or where people are worshiping negative things. So if our tolerance could accept that, why couldn't our tolerance bring the inquisitiveness to say, okay, what exactly is mining darkness, especially when it comes to education? You know. So um, these are things that we need to look at, that we need to find ourselves in a place where we push beyond discovery and begin to explore more to drive meaningful development, over a
Yes.
period of time. So many things has been said towards the end of last year into the new year. And we hear people talking about things on the show that actually propels people to say, wow, I need to do this. Listen to some of the topics we've had in the past. You just get inspired.
Mm.
But the truth of the matter is that whether it's the teacher who fought tomorrow, whether you're talking about
Mhm.
our district holiday, whether you're talking about
Mm.
mentor your way out, thrusting through the pandemic, no limit
Mm.
education, dare that devil, pack your bags, jack in the box, hiring yourself, stop the
Mm.
peanut, in newsfest if
Mhm.
retreat a must, you must have a tag team, career advisory, crisis advisory, pointed versus called who's next? Is this the end? Lovely topics and conversations we've had. But guess what? If we don't get to turn into the mental consciousness of a miner that goes deep into the ground of the matter, the ground of the discovery, somebody is
Mm.
into a particular sector, somebody is into a particular sphere, and the person is just looking at things on the surface. Mining is not
Mm.
done on the surface. Have you noticed? If you want to mine
Yeah, true.
something, it is not a surface based activity. If we are going to mine
Yeah.
darkness, if we are going to mine darkness in our sector, in our sphere, industry, business, profession, career, it has to go beyond the surface. And too many surface thinkers are occupying our businesses, sectors, industries today. And this is why we still feel a bit disempowered. I don't know whether I want to bring it up, but I know that Olushola is here. If we're going to talk about the Finance Act, and I will talk about the pricing and taxation that will take place this year,
Eh,
everybody must brace up.
Good
Olushola,
morning,
Yes.
Rotimi. Good morning. I hope I want to believe an average educator does. Maybe we see 1% who are aware of the Finance Act that education tax have been increased, and starting from
I'm packing my
January
drugs.
1.
I'm going to UAE.
So I am not
ATL,
sure.
get my room ready.
I, I, I'm not sure many educators are aware, school owners and what have you, how the Finance Act affect us, because that appear not to be in our primary domain. However, I think it is good to, when you're talking about mining the darkness, going beneath the surface, these are some of the things as a borders on finance, as a borders of policy, borders on governance, borders on entertainment, as it borders on every other area, because education deals with every other thing. And whether we like it or not, I think because some of these uh, financial burdens called incidence of tax, and that is where the tax burden is being borne by the last or the consumer. They pass it to the school owner will maneuver their way and passing it over to the parents. And some of them will just be shouting, why? You have to increase this and that. Leave that school, go to another school. Discover that they have also increased. So if somebody is not abreast with the Finance Act and that the education tax has been increased, and he still comes into the new year with the old school fee, you know, that person is heading for trouble. So I think we need the gods. You know, it's also not going beneath surface comes with its risk. Yes, it's not only the going down as a miner, is that tenacity and the courage. Because when you meet yourself in the darkest of darkness, and you are still supposed to be forging ahead with the little light in your head or in your hand, because you are seeking for something. If you turn back, it will be a waste of your life, because you have gone halfway only for you to come back to the surface without anything. So it is better to continue to go with that gut and courage that come what may, I want to bring something out. And I think the era of a laissez-faire attitude should be gone forever. For educators, different industries are coming up with different things, and they are forging ahead. Until you make a statement in your sector, nobody is going to recognize you. They'll continue to look down on you. They will continue to make you play the second fiddle. Are you really serious? What are you even doing after all? You know, there are people who says that. You are telling them, I want to teach your children. Say, is it not just to teach this boy how to write ABC? They knew it is easy, but they are not sitting down to teach their own children. So until we make a statement and let them know we are doing something important and we push in every direction, we must continue. We must have the gut and the courage this year. We must delve into different things, because take it or leave it, those things have a way of impacting or affecting us as educators, directly or indirectly. So the earlier we pay attention to a whole lot of things, the better. And it is those who are armed with the appropriate information that appears to go ahead first. While others are saying, why are you doing this? The person is looking at them and say, these ones, they are still blind. They don't know what is happening already. So when you have access to information, it gives you an unfair advantage. It helps you to go ahead, a step ahead of your mate, of your equal. And that is how to stay afloat. So it is good. Yes, darkness comes with its fear. However, if you know you have the light, irrespective, the thicker the darkness, the more impact the light has. Once the light comes, it disperses darkness. However, it takes darkness to appreciate light. So don't be cowed in by the darkness. Don't fidget. Don't give up because of the journey ahead, because you know you are heading to discover something golden, or you are going to discover a diamond. Yes, somebody had to bear the cat. Somebody had to lead the way. And it may be difficult or unsavory or so sad in the process, some have to die. But that is reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I was saying something to watch on when we're talking, and you know, just the topic alone, some people are running away from me, mining darkness. It feels like maybe we're talking about something spiritual and negative, because people think when they hear the word darkness, it's something they shouldn't approve, they shouldn't embrace. Well, Ifyok, let's hear from Ifyok. Oh, she's out. And then Ifyok went out for Finn to come back in. Finn, you took Ifyok out. Welcome back.
Good morning, Mr. Olushola.
Good morning. Okay, we've greeted Happy New Year already. I think.
Yes, we have.
Oh, yes. Nice seeing you. You left us alone towards the end of the year without notice. Welcome back.
I'm
By
back
the way,
without notice.
those who went on vacation, I suppose they are supposed to bring something to those of us that didn't go on vacation.
Let's not go into that debate, because we can easily say we should get a welcome back package.
Sorry, I touched the wrong button.
We can't feel the button here.
No, if that is even part of mining darkness. Yes, you can't
We
mine
can't feel
darkness
the button.
and not press the wrong button at some point. No, that is a reality.
All the ladies are just changing hair, changing glass, changing gifts.
You can't blame us, so there's no limit.
Hey, scam.
Shattering the boundaries.
Okay. Well, limit my account is also no limit. So don't limit your change to my account.
Sorry, okay, so I'm sorry I came in late, but I'm here for now.
Yeah, so just quickly share with us when you saw the topic, mining darkness, and I kind of said it, and Finn had heard me say it as well. That some people even did not even want to approve my post because there was darkness after the mining. Maybe if I wrote mining gold, it would have been approved.
Okay, so what's the emphasis on mining or the darkness?
You choose.
Because I actually, when I saw the topic, I took mining separately and then I took darkness. And the first thing that came to my mind was, for me, it was darkness, honestly. It was the fear, it was all the negative emotions that you feel, all the negativity around or the unpleasant situations that we may find ourselves in the educational sector or as teachers. And then my mind strayed away to all the witches and wizards that we as a child growing up, anytime I heard darkness, anytime I heard the word dark or blackout or anything, I would think witches and wizards. Anyway, that's on a light note. But then talking about mining, what comes to my mind is digging deep, finding value.
Not
Why?
digging deep into darkness. That's probably
So
why they didn't approve my post. Say digging deep into darkness.
so exactly. So I was like, are we mining? Are we digging into darkness? And but at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's sometimes it's only it may take one going into darkness to really see the light, because when you're in darkness, then light becomes more, should I use the word visible, or more important to you. So you actually, when you get to that place, when you dig deep or when you mine and you get really down there, then you start to search for the light. So that's thinking a little bit further into it and just taking my mind away from the periphery of the thought. I'm bringing it home to teachers now. You may be in that place where you find that you're at that dark spot. Probably you've done a lot, you've done something, and you're thinking, what's going to take you to that next level? Now, it's unless you're able to see the light, even in the darkness where you are. So unless you're able to do something beyond where you are. So sometimes we've mastered a skill, or you've reached that place of mastery, and you're asking yourself, what's the next thing? That place may be the darkness for you. But you being able to see what the next step is could be that light that you're searching for. So unless where you are now, unless you're able to do something beyond what you really know how to do, beyond what you've mastered. I think there's a quote like that. But unless you're able to dig deep into yourself and do something, challenge yourself to go out there, to go the distance, no limits, you might not be able to grow beyond where you are. So sorry for that noise, it's distracting me. Anyway, so as you mind the darkness that you face, it may be anything, it may be where you are now or where you want to be. Look for that light and push yourself to go the distance, and then you'll grow. Sorry.
Mind your sound. All right. it's been an interesting one. I'll just allow everyone to just share their parting thoughts and shots. I'm going to start with Fee. I'm going to watch on Olusola, then I'll come back to Ifyok. So, Fee, follow. Let's have your parting shots.
As we discuss, or as we shut down the show this morning, one thing I would like to leave with us is that there's a need for us to expand our mind, expand our worldview, expand our own those ideas that we have held onto for so long that may be holding us down. There is a need for us to expand them so that as we explore a new season, we're able to go beyond what could have been limiting for us, what could have been holding us back. We're able to do far much more than we were able to do previously, and that our results will be better. There's a whole lot that darkness holds for us to discover. There's a whole lot, and maybe because it's darkness, we don't take it seriously, but there's a lot hidden in it that we need to shed and beam light on, and then be able to reap the fruits and the reward in the darkness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Watson?
Okay. I would say we should allow ourselves go through the darkness. Don't allow yourself to be a surface person or a surface thinker. Allow yourself to go through that darkness, whatever it is that is holding you back. As I said earlier on, you'll be surprised that in that darkness you will find light, and you'll be at the end of the day say, "This darkness was light even on my path." So allow yourself to go through that darkness, and before you know it, you will see your light shining through. You will get your answers. You will see what you even want, and even go to that next level. Thank you.
Thank you. Olusola Olumide.
Yes, my parting shot will be mining the darkness. You make us explorative and become unsatisfied with our present state. Let's push through, explore through, mine through the darkness until we're able to pass the light. Thank you very much.
And Ifyok.
All right, so I will say, as we go on our way, you need to think innovation, think experimentation, ask questions, think flexibility. These are some of the characteristics that will help us mind the darkness and come out on the winning side. Reflection is one tool that you need to have and hold with you, because otherwise you'll go blindly along the way and you'll find yourself getting into deeper darkness than you even could imagine. So reflect, and that's it. I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say that darkness really is not the problem, right?
Mhm.
It's the fact that we've not done anything to darkness. We've left it and not doing anything about it. It's a bigger darkness than the darkness itself. Everyone needs to understand that darkness is the absence of light. And the more light we hide, the more light that lacks expression, the more darkness we find, the more darkness becomes our reality. So as we go into the year, as we soak in all the information, not just on the Good Morning Education platform, but on other platforms, our disposition should be to mine the darkness. And as we do so, I believe we'll have better responses, better outcome, better realities, and better growth. So I want to thank Olushola Olumide for joining. I want to thank Ifyok for joining. Thank you, Wachum, for joining. Thank you, Finfolu, for joining. Thank you, Math Educator, and all our tribe members who joined, who also commented at some point in time. We'll be back, and guess what? Our weekend special starts tomorrow. So we're coming back tomorrow, but this time around, our weekend special for Saturday is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. West African time, and on Sunday is going to be 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. West African time. And Ifyok is going to be live ready for us tomorrow. Anyway, as we end the show, we'll end with our usual goodbyes, and at the count of two, let's do that together. 1, 2.
It's
It's
always
always
a
a
great
great morning on the Good Morning
education
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 show.
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 Educational show.
Bye.